to put numbers up, but no, I see that that we're struggling, and I'm a guy that wants the ball in those times when we can't find a way. Give it to me. Like when the game's on the line, give the ball to me. I want that. I want that pressure. I put it on myself, and I work hard for it. Unfortunately, I did it to myself. I won't even say unfortunately, I did it to myself. But this is my home, man. I love it here. But you just see frustration because obviously, we want to be great, and most definitely, I want to be great as well.
Okay, really interesting. And the entirety of what he said yesterday was worth hearing. He's such an interesting person. Sal described him as an introspective person the other day. And I think listening to that conversation, I got that feeling. I thought you summed him up really well.
Yeah, I don't think A.J. Brown is selfish at all. I think he might be the most selfless receiver in the National Football League. Because, listen, I can make an argument that he is the most talented wide receiver in the NFL. I can literally make that argument. He's ranked 49th right now in yards against every receiver in the league. Think about that. Think about the discrepancy between where his talent is and where his production is. Now, yes, it is about winning, absolutely. But there can be shared prosperity, right? If you are playing left tackle for the Titans and they are going 16-0 without you out there and you think that you can help the run game, you think you're a better option, as a competitor, as an independent contractor who puts all their time into being the best you can be, you want that kind of spirit. You want a receiver that wants the ball. You do not want a receiver that doesn't think they can affect the outcome. So I think both of these things can be true because their passing game is struggling, and I couldn't agree more.
Dan, show us. What's going on?
I think, one, Jalen Hurts has become an incredibly risk-averse quarterback over the last year and a half. Then, two, AJ's not getting open a ton. It's never really been his game. So he's got an outside release go route to the top. I would tell you here, he's even with the receiver, so justify giving your guy a chance. Jalen doesn't really subscribe to that. That ball's going 3-4 yards out of bounds. Bottom of the screen, double move. Now, when he makes that double move, that corner's going to be playing on top. I would say, hey, another opportunity for a back shoulder. Look where this ball lands. This ball lands out of the white. We would call that a pizza ball, 3 or 4 yards out of bounds. Another deep shot opportunity where AJ's not necessarily separating. There's not a lot of clarity of give that guy the throw. But Jalen Hurts launches this one out of bounds, and I think it's just because he's become incredibly cautious with the football, and in many ways that's been a benefit. Okay, like that's won them football games. And I don't want to sit here and tell them you got to change. I do know this. There's the reality where AJ's not getting open. Again, not been a ton of what his game has been. I think he's been asked to run the most basic high school elementary routes out of any receiver in the NFL. If you ask me what his route tree looked like, I would say this. It's really just like go routes and hitch routes and an occasional slant. So there's not much variance to his routes, and then Jalen's just not giving those 50-50 opportunity throws.
Here's the thing I can't make up my mind. Because we sit here, we dissect the Eagles like they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. Not only are they 4-0, but they're the defending Super Bowl champs, and they've won 20 of their last 21 games.
Yeah, you get yourself in trouble with that.
I know, but there's also a part of me that says they still find ways to win, whether they're utilizing each of their pieces at its maximum or not.
They're finding ways to win, however, they're one-dimensional in how they're winning those games. And if you're coaching the result, then yeah, they're 4-0, there's nothing to talk about. But if we're talking about the process, like being able to play with a guy like A.J. Brown, I played with him. And I remember his rookie season, he was in search for 1,000 yards. And I remember we were at Houston, he got that. And he came up to me emotionally and was like, hey, I got it. And so it's so important from yeah, I say it like that, it's kind of crazy. But like, he came up to me and he was emotional about like, I got 1,000 yards. Basically, he checked out the box that I could play in the NFL. And so this guy, he's competitive. He wants to be great. He wants to elevate his team. Because I think if we're talking about it, they definitely know foundationally, they're not holding it together as much as they possibly could.
This is how I love my A.J. Brown this way. This is how I love A.J. Brown. This is what makes him great. I had the honor of being a teammate of his. I felt like I was invited to the cookout because we had this.
You weren't.
We called it the room, Hawk. Stick with me.
Okay, all right.
We called it the room. Every night before a game, we'd be up in a hotel room and shout out the boys, Daquan Jones, Harold Landry, and Darren Bates. And it'd be A.J. Brown. We'd all be sitting there, and he'd have the same edge, the same chip on his shoulder if old Ryan Tannehill wasn't giving him the ball. Now he's in a spot here in Philly. He's the same way. This is what makes him great. This is an apex predator. He doesn't care how he eats. He just wants to eat.
I agree.
A.J. Brown's route selection is not his choice.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah,
right?
This isn't an A.J. Brown problem. I think
that's the issue.
This is utilizing him.
This is how they're utilizing. This is the issue. I mean, no one will argue that if A.J. Brown is at his best, that the Philadelphia Eagles will be worse. No one agrees. No one thinks that.
I think the issue is this. If this offense does not improve, it's going to get them beat. When? I don't know. But running the football right now is a poor decision for them. There's no football team in the NFL that has more negative runs in between the tackles than the Eagles. That's outrageous. And then their pass game is somewhat obvious.
Hold this. I'm up against the bottom of the hour. I want to come back to this because the last time we saw them start losing, they fractured 2 years ago. I'm interested to hear if we think that would happen again if things go sideways. We'll talk about it as we go. In the meantime, we got another championship contender in a terrible situation. Chef Diaz, we are back on Get Up, and the next beat here is called Straight Out of Compton. Will Compton's got takes for days. He doesn't have that hair anymore, thanks to Nebraska, but that's a whole other conversation. All right, we're looking for hot takes, and let's start in Green Bay.
Yes, you know what? I hate to do this. Love Coach LaFleur. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, but I got to cover this objectively. Packers are now on fraud watch after their last two performances.
Unfortunately, I think my friend Will Compton is correct. You go through a game last week, you're playing the Browns, you lose to the Browns. Micah Parsons is coming back to Dallas. You have an incredible record at AT&T Stadium. Supposed to be a boat race. We're talking about bloodbath over here on Thursday last week. You go in and you get a tie. Not only that, but as a game plan, you run zone, which is all Eberflus does against a quarterback that's all in camp.
ESPN Bet still has them as the favorites to win the division. You like Green Bay or Detroit in that division?
Right now, I like Detroit.
Detroit.
Right now, I like
top to bottom.
The next one, a team that no one saw coming. Talk to me about Jacksonville.
Jacksonville Jaguars are going to beat the Chiefs this weekend. Chiefs are going out to Jacksonville facing sneaky, one of the best, they're in the conversation, teams out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen might be getting in Spags' face after the game. That's my take. Jaguars beat the Chiefs.
Are they for real? Are the Jags legit?
I think that's a good football team.
Yes.
That's a good ball club.
Yes.
They're sneaky. Yes is the answer. However, when it comes to the Chiefs, it's amazing what one individual can do when you can take the top off with Xavier Worthy. You saw he had multiple X plays in their last game. I know statistically the Ravens have been bad.
Right.
However, Patrick Mahomes throwing for more touchdowns than he did combined in the last 3 games. It's the confidence booster they need, especially when the noise was so loud.
They beat a bad Ravens team.
Jaguars win that game. That's going to open up a lot of eyes. All right, I need one more. Talk to me about Philly.
Denver Broncos are going to expose the cracks, the foundation that's going on in Philly right now. The Broncos are going to beat the Eagles at Philadelphia.
Something's up in Philadelphia. It's like Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob. It's that smelly smell that smells kind of smelly. You don't know what to do, but there's something there. The Broncos have the defense. They're number 1 in pressures. They're outstanding against the run game. They've only given up 2 touchdowns through the air this year. I love the Broncos in this game. I'm with Willie C on this one.
Okay, so there's been a lot of stuff on the Eagles. I like the handshake. A lot of stuff with the Eagles. Part of it, A.J. Brown, he's cryptically posting biblical verses and all the rest of that. Yesterday, he clarified everything. I thought it was fascinating to hear what he said.
And so just like that, the Ravens, or the Chiefs, I should say, moved to 2-2. Ravens become the 3rd preseason Super Bowl favorite with a losing record through 4 games in the last 45 seasons. Each of the previous 2 ended up missing the playoffs. A long way to go until we worry about that, but here is John Harbaugh's concerns